Hey, it's Michael with a Y, and you're listening to My Reality Recap. Today we're going to talk about the shocking episode on Dancing with the Stars, the big upset that happened on Survivor, the premiere of Project Runway Jr., and what happened when the mom showed up on America's Next Top Model. I hope you're ready for this, so put your glasses on and get ready to roll your eyes with me. For this week's episode, I am flying solo. I'm flying solo, and I just sang for you guys too. And this week in the world of reality TV was so amazing. I don't think I've ever been so pissed off at TV, but also at other points so excited that I was jumping up and down and screaming and even in tears at one point. So I just had a great week in my little reality TV world, and I cannot wait to break all of it down for all of you listeners. So Dancing with the Stars this week, it started out with the final 6 on the stage, except there was only 5 on stage because Tamar Braxton was rushed to the hospital during dress rehearsal. They didn't give us any other information. They were just like, this is a live show. We're going to have to keep going like she's actually here. And if she doesn't perform, then she'll be the one eliminated. Okay, let's start talking about what happened. So Alec and Lindsay did a salsa. And he's a very good looking guy, but to do the salsa, you have to show off your chest a little bit. And he was very nervous to do that. So they actually waxed his chest hair. And I mean, I don't mind a guy with chest hair. I think it's pretty sexy, like Niall from America's Next Top Model. But he got all waxed and he looked pretty good. I mean, I would go on a date with him if he wanted to take me on a date. And he did a good dance. It was fun to watch. Nothing super special. He's kind of one of the worst dancers left in the competition, but he's still a really good dancer. For Alexa and Mark's dance, they actually told the story about Alexa struggling with bulimia in the past. She had this eating disorder for 6 years, and so they did a very emotional storytelling dance, and it was very good. It was a way of healing for her, and they ended up with a perfect 30 out of 30. Carlos and Whitney did the Argentine tango. It was so good. They got me making noises. I was doing like, throughout the entire thing. Carlos is so sexy. This dance was so good, but the judges didn't love it, and I was pissed about that. So they only got a 27 out of 30. Bindi and Derek did a Viennese waltz. It was beautiful. It was very elegant. And of course, Bindi got a perfect 30 out of 30. Nick and Sharna did a really fun Broadway dance. And Carrie Ann and Julianne were super critical about it. But Bruno said it was pretty awesome. And I thought it was awesome too. So they got 110 and 2 9s for a 28 out of 30. And Tamar did not show up in time for her actual dance, because they had 2 dances this week. For the first dance, she did not show up, so what they did is they just played her dress rehearsal, and when they do dress rehearsals, not everybody is on their A game. They kind of just half-ass the things, and so that's what she did, plus she was sick during the dress rehearsal, so she and Val got a 22 out of 30 for their dance. Not the best score. For round 2, it's called the Showstopper Team Up, and that is when the 2 teams are paired together, and for 30 seconds of the song, each professional needs to leave the stage and leave both stars to dance with each other. And so the first team was Carlos and Whitney and Alec and Lindsay, and they did a Paso Doble to Queen's We Will Rock You. And it was really good. It was really powerful, but the judges tore them apart. Like, they didn't really like it. They were kind of off sync a little bit, and they actually had to do a segment where Alec and Carlos were dancing together, and they had this great opportunity to have 2 guys dancing with each other on stage, but they didn't really do much dancing with it, which is kind of a disappointment for me because I'd love to see 2 guys dancing on stage. So they got a 24 out of 30. Bindi and Derek were paired up with Alexa and Mark, and they did like this Charleston jazz to the Chicago musical, and this was one of the best dances I have ever seen on Dancing with the Stars. I even clapped for them when it was done. I was so happy. I could not believe what I was watching. So good. They got a 30 out of 30. Nick and Sharna were teamed up with Tamar and Val, and moments before they're supposed to go on stage, Tamar shows up from the hospital. They throw her in this outfit, and she goes out and performs. They did a samba to the Beatles, and Tamar was able to do this. Like, she did it spot on. She did such a good job. She was so determined, and I give her mad props because she's been having this crazy schedule, and if you were just in the hospital and feeling sick, most people would want to just like, I give up, but she is like a go-getter. She went and did it, and they ended up getting a 27 out of 30. So at the end of the night, the highest scores were Bindi and Derek, and Alexa and Mark were both tied for 30 out of 30, and Tamar and Val were at the bottom of the leaderboard. Going into elimination, they brought it down to Alexa and Mark and Carlos and Whitney, the married couple. Of course, they would bring both of them next to each other and make them feel awful about the situation. And Alexa had this perfect score for the night, and she was the one eliminated. What the hell? She really shouldn't have gone. Neither should have Carlos. It really should have been either Tamar or it should have been Alec. But they sent Alexa home, and Carlos was very upset. He was like, I wish it would have been me instead. And he was crying, and it was kind of really adorable seeing him cry over his wife. Oh, he just loves her so much, and I just love him. Ugh, the struggle. So Alexa is out, but there is an update. On Wednesday last week, Tamar Braxton withdrew from the competition because the doctors found blood clots in her lungs. And so she had to remove herself so she could stay alive and continue to do her other work. And so they are bringing back an eliminated contestant, and that is going to be determined by the 4 remaining couples. So we have no idea who's going to be dancing for us on Monday, along with the remaining couples. I really hope they bring back Alexa, not just because she's one of my favorites and she's been so good lately, but because she was the last one eliminated, and so I feel like it makes sense that she's still in the groove, and it's the most fair thing just to bring her back that she was the last one eliminated. So cross your fingers so that way Michael with the Y can be very happy this week. On Survivor this week, we had a really crazy episode. We come back from Cass being voted off last week, and Sierra is now on the bottom along with Kelly Wentworth and Abby, and they are just trying to figure out what to do to try to make somebody do a big move in this game. They go to the reward challenge, and they're split up into 2 teams, and the team that won was Keith, Kimmy, Joe, Sierra, Kelly, and Kelly, and they got to go to this cool Survivor cafe. And Sierra used this opportunity to talk to everybody and plant seeds in their heads about, you guys realize that Savage, Tasha, Jeremy, and Steven have a strong alliance, and they're not going to break up, and so we need to try to take one of them out at some point. Steven, back at camp, is also talking about how he lost to JT again, and he keeps bringing up a second chance and how he needs to get the Golden Boy out, and the Golden Boy is Joe this time. And so he's like, we need to get rid of Joe if he loses immunity. And Savage tells Joe that Steven wants to get him out, so Joe knows going into the immunity challenge that he has to win this one, so that way there's not a big upset and Joe goes home. For the immunity challenge, they had to balance a ball on a disc that was attached to 2 ropes, so you're standing on a little plank and you have to balance the ball on a little like plate thing while holding 2 ropes, and every 10 or 20 minutes you have to move farther back on the rope, so it makes it harder for you to balance. And after like 30 to 40 minutes, it came down to Keith and Joe, and so they ended up putting a second ball on the little plate thing to make it a lot harder. And in the end, Joe pulled out and won immunity. He saved himself from a big upset, and Steven was pretty worried that he was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to not get out Joe yet. And so they get back to camp, and they realize Steven was the one that tried to get Joe out, so why don't they just take Steven out right now? He's a schemer. Let's just go for Steven. But Jeremy convinced Savage that it's not the right time to do this, that we can keep Steven for a couple more weeks, and that they really need to get out Kelly Wentworth or Sierra. And those are 2 of my favorites, along with Abby, and I was just so nervous going into Tribal Council. But we have to remember that Kelly Wentworth does have the hidden immunity idol, and nobody knows about it. So we're at Tribal Council now, and Sierra and Kelly are calling everybody out on their game. They're just like, nobody is playing this game really hard. They're just letting this alliance run their game, and everybody's going to get picked off one by one. This is your second chance, people. Go out there and do something. And that's why I love Sierra and Kelly, because they're trying to make different things happen, but nobody else really is, because they're so comfortable where they are in the game, and they don't realize what position they're in. And Sierra was just making all these crazy faces and rolling her eyes every time Savage opened his mouth. It was just phenomenal just watching all this. So we go to the voting. Everybody casts their votes. They don't show who anybody voted for. So we're just like, oh God, what's going to happen? Jeff Probst comes back. He asks if anybody has the hidden immunity idol, and if so, now is the time to play it. Kelly Wentworth stands up and is like, you know what, Jeff? I don't feel like going home yet. She plays her idol. Everybody is shocked. They had no idea that she had the idol. I am screaming because I'm so excited, but I'm also terrified. I'm like, what if they all voted for Sierra and Kelly is wasting this idol? Ooh, I was so nervous. But they started reading the vote, and it was Wentworth, Wentworth, Wentworth. 5 votes for Kelly, and I was like, oh my God, if this next vote was for Kelly, they did not split the vote, and the rest of the votes were for Kelly. They did not split the votes, so all 9 people of this big alliance all voted for Kelly without splitting the vote because they didn't think she had the idol, and the remaining 3 people of Kelly, Sierra, and Abby voted out Savage. Boom! Such a great blindside. I could not believe it. I was screaming at my TV. I was jumping up and down. I ended up in tears. I was screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because, I mean, I'm not the biggest Savage fan. He wants to play this game with loyal and integrity. It's fucking Survivor. You have to lie and be manipulative, Savage. And that's what they did. And it was just So good. And I just love Survivor for this reason. Like, I haven't had this good of a tribal council since when Parvati was on, and it is exactly what I've been needing in my life. I just want this opportunity to play Survivor because I know I would bring this craziness that Kelly and Sierra were able to do tonight. I just want to point out, though, that this was one of the only blindsides where one person knew who was going home at tribal council. Kelly knew that whoever she voted for would be going home that night. Genius. I love Kelly. Kelly, Team Sierra, Team Abby. Let's go. So this is the part of the podcast where I need to take a moment to talk about my sponsor. This week is provided by White with Style. It's an awesome teeth whitening company that has an FDA-approved technique to whiten your teeth with a fancy LED light. Now, if you're like me and you drink a ton of coffee, my coffee of choice is the venti peppermint white chocolate mocha at Starbucks. Shout out. This little gem is going to help you keep your teeth looking pretty for all the boys and girls out there. And because White with Style is just an amazing company, they're offering all of my podcast listeners a special offer on their first starter kit. All of you can get the Sparkle White Professional Teeth Whitening Kit that was originally $269.99 for the price of $28. Visit www.whitewithstyle.com and enter the code Michael with a Y at the checkout to get your discount. Once again, that's www.whitewithstyle.com and the code is Michael with a Y. Now that Project Runway ended last week, they have a new season of Project Runway that is on for every inspiring designer and creative person to watch, and this is Project Runway Junior, and these kids are ages 13 to 17. They are so young, but they are so talented, and it makes me feel awful about all of the things that I can make. I'm 25 years old now, and I'm just like, I cannot make a freaking dress like these kids. I'm going to get into it in a little bit and just talk about these young kids. But the challenge this week was their first impressions challenge, and they had to be inspired by New York City and create a look that shows off their skills and design aesthetic. And these kids are so cute and adorable, and there's young gay guys on there, and it is just so like nice to see these kids know who they are as a person and proud to be who they are as a I mean, I don't know they're gay, but they kind of give off gay vibes, and they're just young and adorable, and it's just so cute to see them so proud to make clothes, and it's just like, I wish that I had this, like, courage and everything that I have now at their age, because you really have to be who you are and proud of who you are as a person and just own it, and that's how you're going to get places. So if anybody out there is struggling with their identity, just be yourself, and everybody will love you no matter what, and if they don't love you, then they're not meant to be in your life. But back to Project Runway, I don't need to be an inspirational spokesperson or anything. When we got to the runway, my two favorites this week were Bridget and Samantha, and my least favorites were Zach and Sammy. But the top looks, according to the judges, were Jackson, and he took like the structure of the New York cityscape very literally, and he had like the cityscape on the front during the day, and in the back it was the nighttime colors of the cityscape. It was a pretty cool dress. If I was a girl, I would not wear it though. Samantha did a very cool androgyny thing. It was like a white dress top with a denim skirt. It looked super expensive, super high end, and I'm just like, holy shit, this looks like an actual high fashion designer's collection. This girl is good. Maya had a really fun leather panel of the cityscape that she had made that went throughout the waistline and also down the center of the back of her dress. And it was also this really pretty light plum color. And she is actually 13 years old, everybody. 13 years old, and she made an amazing dress and with the top look. Oh my gosh, this girl, 13, oh, so precious. I hope she goes pretty far. The bottom looks this week were Zach, and he had like this cute prom dress, but it was nothing special, nothing original, and he actually looked more famous and like a designer than what his outfit on the model was. Victoria had a lot of different things going on in her dress. It was black, it had two pieces, it was very like gothic downtown, but there were so many ideas going on, and she really needed to edit it and take some stuff off of it. And Sammy had this blue dress. It didn't really fit the model very well, and the edges on the sides were unfinished, and it made the model's waistline look really big, and that is one thing you never want to do. So the winner of the challenge this week was Samantha with her super expensive looking white top and denim skirt, and the eliminated contestant was Sammy with her blue dress. So the judges weren't very critical and hard on these kids. I mean, they gave them very constructive feedback, and if they didn't like it, they told them what they didn't like, but they weren't as brutal as they were in the normal Project Runway, which is what I really liked about that show. But these kids are just so talented, and it really inspires me. Like, I'm pretty sure as soon as I'm done recording this episode for all of you, I'm going to go upstairs and try to make a shirt for myself, so I can say I make more than just accessories. On America's Next Top Model this week, it is down to the final four, and that is Mikey, Mame, Lacey, and Niall. And so for the challenge, what they did is they shot a mock cover of Nylon magazine, and they wanted to put the covers out there on the streets and see which one of the 4 would sell the most magazines. And Mommy didn't do so hot during this challenge. Nobody was really going for hers. Everybody was all for Niall and his beautiful blue eyes, and they liked Mikey's look, and they loved Lacey. And the winner of the challenge was Niall, so he got a 10 out of challenge score. Mikey and Lacey got 9s, and Mommy got an 8. When they got back home, Tyra had a moment with all the models, and she brought in her very first photographer, which was her mother, and she tells the models that her mom is going to be the photographer of their new photo shoot. And then she also surprised all the models and was like, because my mom is here, I feel like your mom should be here too. So she brought in everybody's moms, and it was like, oh, it's such a cute moment. And there was lots of backstories going on about, oh, my parents were divorced, I don't get to see my mom, we had such a hard life, blah, 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 blah. Making everybody love these people even more than we already do. But like, I want to see more of the fashion stuff. I want to see the nitty gritty, everything. Come on, Tyra, give it to me. But it was still nice to see, and Tyra's talking to them, and she's like, here's another surprise. Your moms are going to be posing with you in these photo shoots. They're going to have full hair, makeup, and styling. And Mikey's mom started breaking down. She's like, I never get to do anything that makes me feel pretty. And it was so adorable. And Tyra, while they're on the set of the photo shoot, everyone's getting glammed up, Tyra was like, I am so inspired by these clothes. We're going to do 2 photos and 2 looks of everybody. And Tyra was just in a really giving mood and was just like so happy. Like, everybody loves their moms. And I feel like it should have been like a Mother's Day episode for how much they talked about moms. But I'm just like, it's November, not Mother's Day. And this wasn't even filmed around Mother's Day. This was filmed like in the summer, I'm pretty sure. Although I guess Mother's Day is kind of in the summer. It's like spring. So maybe it was around Mother's Day when it was filmed. I don't know. Let's just continue on with the episode. They had to do like a cute photo where they were like endearing with each other while still rocking some pretty awesome clothes. And then they had to do like a badass pic where they're like all in your face. And getting to judging, they showed that things, and every model broke down again talking about their mom. It was kind of really hard and boring to watch. But Niall's pictures were amazing. His mom was so beautiful, all glammed up, and they just like killed it in these pictures together. And he started breaking down, and it was so adorable seeing Niall cry because he's just such a beautiful human being. Oh my God. But he looked so fierce in his pictures, and he was in the bottom 2 last week, so he is back at it, and he was going for it, and his pictures gave me so much life. And I also really liked both of Lacey's pictures with her mom. Her mom even had a full hawk in these photos. And I only really liked one of Mikey's pictures, but I didn't really care for Mommy's pictures. I thought she looked good, but she wasn't like on the same level as everybody else, in my opinion. And going to best performance of the week, they gave it to Mommy. What the fuck? I don't get it. Her pictures weren't the best, and she had the lowest challenge score. I don't know how this happened, but it did. So Mommy is safe, and I was like, damn it, I thought she was going to be the one going home for sure. And the bottom 2, it came down to Lacey and Mikey. And I was like, oh my God, this cannot be happening. Lacey cannot be leaving right before the semifinals. And there ended up being a tie with the scores. And when there is a tie for the scores, the judges have to decide between which model goes home. And Tyra was like, we spent so long figuring out who's going to go home, and we made a decision. Lacey, you are safe. And I was just like, oh, thank goodness. And she started crying, and Mikey started freaking out. And Tyra was like, Mikey, I'm so sorry that we had to do this, but you're also still in the competition too. We could not decide. And so he was like really upset that Tyra did it to him because he like almost had a heart attack. So Lacey and Mikey are both saved, but this Final Four is so fierce. Like, I don't remember the last time there was a Final Four this strong in America's Next Top Model. Like the last couple seasons, there was like 3. There's always been like the 3 that you know would make it to the end. These 4 are so good. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all unfolds. And Tyra told everybody that there are 2 spots at the final runway, and it's going to be 1 boy and 1 girl. So that means next week it's going to be Mikey versus Niall and Mame versus Lacey. And I just really hope that Lacey pulls off this win, at least against Mame, and Niall pulls off the win against Mikey, and then they can have at it. And I will be 100% happy with whichever one of them wins. This show is ending, and it is so sad to me. But this week in reality TV was just so good. Like, I just feel so happy that I'm such a fan of reality TV and that it gives me life. My personal life is so boring right now. Nothing fun is happening. And my reality TV world is just so good. So please, reality TV gods, give me another great week so I can keep on living. And I want to thank all of you so much for listening to the podcast this week. If you like what you heard, please click that subscribe button and give this podcast a 5-star rating. That'll make me feel really good inside. And I want to keep the conversation going with all of you all week long. Tweet me at Michael with a Y or hashtag MYRR to let me know all of your thoughts and feelings about the shows we talked about today or which shows you want me to talk about in the future. You can keep up with me on social media. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Michael with a Y, and that is spelled exactly as it is on here. Don't forget to smile, and remember, glasses are sexy.